This video is on converting radical expressions between radical form and exponential form. So we're going to just start with radical form. So if we're converting an expression into radical form, it's going to have the radical sign. So x to the 2/3 is the same thing as the third root of x squared. So if you have something raised to a fraction, whatever is in the denominator, that's your root, and whatever is in the numerator, that would be what your value is raised to the power of underneath your radical sign. So we're just going to look at that and see if we can figure a couple out. So 5 to the power of 1/2. That means whatever is in the bottom, the denominator of the fraction, is our root. So square root of 5 to the power of 1, which is just 5. So the square root of 5 is the first one. All right, we have 7 to the power of 5/4. Okay, the denominator is 4, so that means our root is 4. We're going to find the fourth root of 7 to the power of 5. Okay, so this one's pretty easy. All right, till we get negatives involved. Anytime you have a negative exponent, to make your exponent positive, you just move the entire thing to the denominator. So this would be over 1. You just move the whole thing to the denominator. So this becomes 1 over 3x to the power of 1/2. So that is how you get the exponent positive. Now we're going to deal with the rest of it. Okay, so this is 1 over, well, our root is 2, so we're going to find the square root of 3x. Okay, so this one, I can leave it like this, but technically you aren't supposed to have a radical in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3x. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring my work down here. So on top we have 1 times the square root of 3x, which is the square root of 3x, over square root of 3x times square root of 3x. That means because they're both under the square root, we just have the square root of 3x times 3x. Well, we found what we can multiply by itself underneath that square root, 3x. That means we can pull a 3x out. And on top we still have square root of 3x. So this is our answer, square root of 3x over 3x. So that one just a little more complicated. All right, we have 4y to the power of 2/3. So our root is 3. We're going to find the cube root, and underneath we're going to have 4y. That entire thing is raised to the power of 2. Don't forget to put parentheses. Y is not the only thing raised to the power of 2. 4 is also raised to the power of 2. So it's very important that you remember those parentheses. All right. Now we're going to look at converting into exponential forms. So if you have some sort of root, this is the cube root of x squared. So changing it into exponential form, your root, in this case the cube root, or the third, is our denominator in the fraction. So we're going to have x to the power of, whatever the exponent is on top, over our root. So we're just going to look at a couple of problems with that. So the fifth root of x raised to the power of 2. Well, because x is the only thing underneath the root, that's what we start with. It's raised to the power of 2, so that's on top. And it's the fifth root, so 5 goes in the denominator. Okay, so the square root of 3x. So 3x is underneath the square root sign. All right, square root means it was 2. What times itself? 2 times. But you have to have something in the numerator. Well, 3x is technically raised to the power of 1. So I'm going to put it to the power of 1. I'm putting the whole thing in parentheses because it's not just x to the power of 1/2, it's 3x to the power of 1/2. All right, so this one, everything's in the denominator. So that means, just like the one up here, in order to get everything up to the top, you now, because the exponent's positive, you now make it negative to move it to the top. So I'm going to look at what's under the square root sign. We have a 2x underneath. And that's going to be raised to the power of a negative so that it can be moved up, because I don't have it in the denominator over here. It's up on top. All right. It's raised to the power of 2, and it is the third root. So 2x to the power of negative 2/3. Okay, so now we're just going to try to simplify some radical expressions, seeing what we just learned about converting from radical form to exponential form. So 36 to the power of 1/2. That means this is just the square root of 36, right? Because root 2 and 36 is raised to the power of 1. Well, 6 times 6 is 36, so the answer is 6. Then we have 25x to the 4th raised to the power of 1/2. Again, it's raised to the power of 1/2, so it's a root of 2. And underneath we have 25x to the 4th. Well, that whole thing's raised to the power of 1, which doesn't change it. So find the square root of 25, which is 5. And the square root of x to the 4th is x squared, because x squared times x squared would give us x to the 4th. Let's do one more. All right, 27x to the 9th raised to the power of negative 1/3. All right, that negative moves everything to the denominator. We know we have a third root of 27x to the 9th. Okay, so I'm just going to see if I can simplify. All right, so third root of 27. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27, so I can pull a 3 out. Remember, when you have an exponent underneath, you can divide it by the root, so 9 divided by 3 is 3. I know that x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd will give me x to the 9th. So that is my answer. All right, so I have a few more problems for you to go ahead and try to do. Fit them all in. Okay, so go ahead and try those 9 problems out. Once you're done, I will go through the answers with you. All right. So the first one gives us the square root of 11. Second one is the cube root of 3 to the power of 7. And the third one, because it's negative, we have 1 over the cube root of 9y. All right, now we're going to put the expressions in exponential form. So this one gives me 6x to the power of 2/3. We have 8y, remember, put it in parentheses, to the power of 1/2, because 8y is raised to the power of 1, and it's a square root. All right, number 6. Again, this is in the denominator, so to move it up, it's going to have a negative exponent. So we have 12x underneath the root. That entire thing's going to have a negative exponent because it's in the denominator. And it's raised to the power of 3, has a root of 5. Okay, and then last part. This just means the square root of 100, which is 10. Okay, we have the square root of 81 x to the 10th, which square root of 81 is 9. Square root of x to the 10th is x to the 5th. And our last one, okay, because it's a negative exponent, we're going to have to drop the whole thing to the denominator. So 1 over the 4th root of 16x to the 8th. Okay, so I know that 4 times 4 is 16, 2 times 2 is 4, so that means 2 multiplied by itself 4 times is 16, so I can pull a 2 out, and 8 divided by 4 is 2, so x to the 2nd multiplied by itself 4 times would give me x to the 8th. Hopefully you were able to get those answers and you understand how to convert between radical form and exponential form.